Shalom, my brothers and sisters. This the day the Most High Yahweh has made. We'll rejoice and be glad in it. Y'all, the Most High. It's like 4:35 in the morning, y'all. And the Most High Yahweh got me up. And what he's sharing with me, y'all, because he been telling me about codes. And that's like he give us, hints in the Bible. And he had been telling us about the word JC, about how the Romans did all people in the slavery days. It was all Roman practices, how they abused us and all this. And why the Most High got me when he told us that what they did to us, he gonna do to them. Why he got me up with the parable of swords, right? And I told y'all before, this was the great multitude, the 144,000, us, the slaves. But look at this. He also told me about a boat named Jesus. And this word is our history, right? But also they mock us. But look at this. On the same day, Jesus, that's a boat, went out of the house, talking about out to the dock, and sat by the sea. It said by the sea. This is about the slave trade, slaves. And a great multitude, that's us, the 144,000, our ancestors, our people, the Hebrews, were gathered together to him. They were gathered together at the ship, at Jesus, the ship. So that he got into a boat. They trying to say Yahusha got into a boat and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore. We all stood at the shore, our people stood on the shore waiting on Jesus, right? The boat. Then he spoke many things to them in parables. Behold, the sower went out to sow. Now this what happened. They the sower, the slave masters went out to sow. Our people. Look at this. And as he sowed, talking about the boat, some seed, the seed is us. Remember I told you, he said we are seeds, fell by the wayside. Fell by the wayside of the boat into the water. And the birds came and devoured them. The birds ate them up. Some fell on stony places where they did not have much earth. And they sprang up because they had no depth of the earth. Now, remember this, stony places by the wayside. You know how you look at the sea and they have the rocks in them? This is what he got me. They fell, some of them fell, and a lot of us try to escape. Fell by the stony place, on the ground, in the sea, the stones. And they didn't have much earth. That means the water, the rocks in the water. And they sprang back up because they had no depth on the earth. Now, when you die, when you pass away in the water, people fall in the water, they float back up. Their body come back to the surface. But look at this. It says, but when the sun was up, they were scorched. Now the dead bodies in the water, when the sun came up, they scorched them. And because they had no root, they withered away because they had no ground. Remember he said we go back to the ground, the foundation? They had no ground, so they withered away in the sun. Now look at this. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprang up and choked them. He told me about the thorns. The thorns is the tares, the slave owners. They choked them. But others fell on good ground and yield. But others fell on good ground and yield crop. Some 100-fold, some 6, some 30. Guess what this is? The slaves, the ones who made it. They made it to good ground. When they made it to the ground off the water, the sea, they made it to the ground. and yield a crop. Talking about we yield crop because they say they sold us for 100-fold, 60, and some 30. Who has ears, let them hear. This is about the slaves. Y'all, he got me up with this. And that's why he said those. And then he got me to this. It says, and the disciples came and said to him, why do you speak to them in parables? And he said to them, because it has been given to you to know the mysteries of the kingdom. Codes. It was given to us as children, the ones that really know the truth, to know the. Y'all, this is sad. Know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. He telling his children what happened. But others have not been given, and whoever to him was given, he will have abundance. And whoever does not even, who do not have, even when it has been taken away from him, therefore I speak to them in parables. He still find a way to connect with his children, y'all. He said, seeing they do not see, and hearing they do not hear. They do not understand, and to them the prophecy of Isaiah was filled. But this is about the slave on the boat Jesus, y'all. That's why they talk about Jesus saved the boat. He got me about a slave ship named Jesus. The whole time you with the Roman Empire and them and with these people, they talking about Jesus saved them. Talking about not them saying the slaves. That's why they say Jesus saves. This is why they say Jesus saves, y'all. This is why they have people calling on Jesus. Somebody saved that they came to save you. The white man came to save you. The slave owners. But like I said, they have slaves in many places. They took slaves in many with ships, but with us. But look at this, because he's talking about me, with my people. Pearl incident. Look at this. This is why Washington. Pearl incident was the largest record nonviolent escape attempt. This was a nonviolent by enslaved in United States history. On April 15, 1848, 70 slaves attempted to escape Washington, D.C. by sailing on the schooner named Pearl. But this way he told me, all people was escaping. We were escaping the ship. And it said, their plan was to sail south of Potomac, then north up to Shakespeare Bay and Delaware River to the free state of New Jersey. And it says the attempt to organize by both abolitionist whites and free blacks. Told y'all both slavers, who in pain expanded to plan to include most enslaved people. Paul Jennings, a former slave who has served President James Madison, helped them plan the escape. Told you, why you think they all with these presidents, them black ones, them traitors? Told you they in the Roman. They with the slave owners. The Most High Yahuwah do not lie. He told me they slave masters. Now look at this. The people, the black people, the slaves. Hope y'all can see this. It said the escapees, including men, women, and children, found their passage delayed by winds running against the ship. 2 days later, they were captured by the Shakespeare Bay near Maryland, by the armed posse traveled by steamboat and punished the owner. As punishment, the owner sold most of the escapes of traders. Now, didn't they sell them? Sell them. The ones that didn't make it, they sold them. It says the punishment, the owner sold most of the escapees up to traders who took them to the deep south. Freedom for the two Edmondson sisters. Freedom for the two Edmondson sisters were purchased the year, which fund raised by Henry Ward Beecher Plymouth Warren Beecher Plymouth Congregation Church in Brooklyn, New York. But look at that. They escaped. That's what he gave me and tell me this. He gave me this first and got me talking about codes. And then look at this. This about the slave owners. The slave owners with the slaves. The 144,000 us, our people. And you know how they used to have us to look at that and they talking about the word and fell by this and the word by that. And the Most High Bid told me this was the 100. He told me this was a 144 multitude. Because I've been saying the number 444. He woke me up and it was 344. I got to still find out what 344 means. But gave me this. Gave me this, y'all. This is why the Most High said he's separating the wheat from the tare. They are among us. The slave masters, they're among the slaves, the 144,000. He told us the living and the dead. So he said he let them grow up. These are all our enemies. And he told us be careful of the false doctrines and stuff because they have us on their side. And so you become an enemy to him. You're an enemy of your own people. Paying attention to this word. Not saying just paying attention to the word, but he no matter how much they change his word, the Ruach HaKodesh teaches this. It teaches the truth. That's why he said his people, the real ones, they know the truth. We know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. Yeah. It can go for the word too because it gets choked out. But this right here, the people. The ship named Jesus. That's the ship named Jesus. And y'all know how they had the riots back in the day. Look, they had riots. This on the same thing. Look, riots. Supporters of slavery was outraged by the attempted escapes, and the angry mob formed. For 3 days, crowds were riled up in the Washington riots in Washington, and numerous police was called in to protect the ones of their targets. They filled the Gamaliel Bailey to publish of the anti-slavery newspaper, New Era, a new era, suspecting him because of his record of abolitionist publishing. A mob of slave owners almost destroyed the newspaper building because they were held off by the police. They got mad, riots. And look what this talking about Washington. That's why I said they having them riots and having people talking about fighting for rights. They fighting for their rights, y'all. It's just history repeating itself. And this is why the Most High Yahuwah told us to stand his rights and his laws because they haven't fighting for have you even participating in stuff that they did it's in slavery to do to his people. And then even they enslaving themselves. Riots. They doing riots and stuff, y'all. And the police, they was mad. The people was mad because of this. The slave owners. Mobs. Citizens to the citizen of Washington. The mob dissipated. The slave owners debated how to punish the slaves. They sold all 77 slaves to slave traders from Georgia and Louisiana, who would take them to the Deep South and New Orleans slave market. That's what we're in the South. They would likely be sold to work on a large sugar and cotton plantation, which held 2/3 of the slaves in the South by the time of the Civil War. Congress John one Singleton, an abominist of New York, alerted anti-slavery activists to the actions of the slave owners and slave trades, which would help increase the effort to end slave trades in the national capital. It says friends and family scrambled to try to locate their loved ones and buy them from the trade before they were taken south. Y'all. Now look at the ship named Jesus. Jesus of Lubeck was a correct built in the free city of Lubeck in the early 16th century. Look, a ship named Jesus. The ship, yeah. Look, and it says around 1540, the ship, which had mostly been used for representation purpose, was acquired by Henry, whatever his name, King of England, to augment his fleet. The ship saw action during the French invasion. But look at this, Queen Elizabeth in faith. In 1563, Jesus of Lubeck was chattered to a group of merchants by Queen Elizabeth, becoming involved in the Atlantic slave trade and smuggling under John Hawkins, who organized four slave voyages to West Africa and to West India between 1562 and 1568. During the last voyage, Jesus, along with several other English ships, encountered a Spanish fleet, San Juan de, I don't know, Alunia, something in Mexico, in September 1568. In resulting battle, Jesus was disabled and captured by Spanish forces. Talking about the boat. The heavily damaged ship was later sold for 601 ducats, 601 ducats at the local merchants. Told you, Jesus. When you talking about Jesus, they talking about a ship, the slave ship. This, and told you in Revelation, and Babylon fallen merchants and sea. Babylon, all the slave owners, the Roman Empire, those who hide superior. But I told you it's on both sides. That's why I told you the same Jesus they talking about. It's not Yahuwah. They two different things, y'all. That Yahuwah is Yahuwah. It's not our Yahuwah is our creator. Jesus is not. They still have me talking about Jesus saved. Jesus saved. You talking about a slave master, a slave owner, who created the slave ship named Jesus. This is why all that race. I'm gonna keep on saying. See how they always change. Look, talking about the ship, slave ship, gives you true rest. The slave ship is the Lord of the Sabbath. So they saying even when you right here talking about on the Sabbath, you rest in the ship. We have to read this with the Ruach HaKodesh, y'all. Whole time you got on Jesus, they talking about the slave ship. You idolizing. Told y'all they also made this book into slavery. What is this? At that time, they saying Jesus answered and said, I thank you, Father. Don't to my Baal, Baal of heaven and earth, that you have hidden these things from the wise. Look, that you have hidden these things from the wise and prudent, and have revealed them to babes. Even so, Father, for so it seemed good in your sight. But look, the wise and prudent, and have revealed them to babes. So y'all, as I looked up the number 344, right? But look, I went to Ezekiel, because he been having me in Ezekiel. Ezekiel 34, I'm going to verse 4. But look what is it about? Irresponsible shepherds. Woe to And the word of Adonai came to me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Yasharel. Prophesy and say to them, Thus says Adonai Yahuwah to the shepherds, Woe to the shepherds of Yasharel who freed themselves. Freed themselves. This was going on. You talking about the man responsible shepherd. Y'all be careful. I told you, a lot of them, they don't care. They know the truth, and they not freeing y'all children. They free themselves from slavery. Should not the shepherd free the flocks? You eat the fat and clothe yourself with wool. You slaughter the fattening, but you did not free the flock. And you know what they irresponsible shepherd is? Because a lot of them was in the churches, y'all. They churches. They slave masters. They keeping people bondage. Most High Yahuwah told us to be careful. He told us to be careful of strange doctrines of devils. They holding people slaves, they holding you hostage. Egypt, slavery mentality, because they all about that money. They on the other side. The weak you have not strengthened, nor have you healed those who were sick, nor bound up the broken, nor brought back what was driven away, nor never sought what was lost. But with force and cruelty you have ruled them. Told you slave owners. What he just told us about on the ship. They had black slave owners and white slave owners. So they were scattered because there were no shepherds. And what back in the slavery days, they had slaves reading part of the word, kept them slave mentality. That's why I told you be careful of these doctrines, y'all. It have people bondage. It says, they became food for all the beasts. Look at this. He just gave me this. So they were scattered because there were no shepherd, and they became food for all the beasts of the field. Beasts of the field. He just told about the 144,000 was scattered. He told us. He just gave us about Matthew, about the 144,000. The beasts of the field, they were scattered. My sheep wandered through all the mountains, and on every hill, yes, my flock was scattered over the whole face of the earth, and no one was seeking or searching for them. Therefore, you shepherds, hear the word of Adonai. As I live, says Yahuwah Eluah. Surely because my flock became prey, and my flock became food for every beast of the field, because there was no shepherd, nor did my shepherd search my flock. But the shepherds fed themselves and did not feed my flock. Nor therefore, O shepherds, hear the words of Adonai. You say, the Adonai Yahuwah, behold. Thus says Adonai Yahuwah, behold, I am against the shepherds, and I will require my flock at their hand, and I will cause them to cease feeding the sheep, and the shepherds shall feed themselves no more. For I will deliver my flock from the mouths of them, from their mouth, and that they may no longer be food for them. Told you the Most High say he getting rid of them. He destroying them, y'all. He also been telling me about weeping and mourning. He told me about it's gonna be funeral walkers in the streets. What he doing to the wicked? Because he gave me about the wicked counselors. Yeah, in Ezekiel. Woe to the foolish prophets. The prophets too. They work together. Woe to the word, and the word of Adonai came to me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the prophets of Yasharel. That's why I told you they Baal worshippers. They all Baal worshippers, y'all. Of Yasharel, who prophesy and say to those who prophesy out of their own hearts, hear the word of Adonai. Thus says Adonai Yahuwah, woe to the foolish shepherds who follow their own spirit and have seen nothing. O Yasharel, your prophets are like foxes in the desert. You have not gone up into the gaps of the building. You have not gone up into the gaps to build a wall for the house of Yasharel to stand in battle on the day of Adonai. They have envisioned futility and false divination, saying, Thus says Adonai, but Adonai has not seen them. Yet they hope that the word may be confirmed. Have you not seen the futile vision, and have you not spoken false divination? You say, Adonai says, but I have not spoken. Therefore, this says Adonai Yahuwah, because you have spoken nonsense and envisioned lies. Therefore, I am indeed against you, says Adonai Yahuwah. My hand will be against the prophets who envision futility, and who divine lies. They shall not be in the assembly of my people, nor written in the record of the house of Yasharel, nor shall they enter into the land of Yasharel. Then you should know that I am Adonai Yahuwah. He just got through telling us about the shepherds. Now he got us with this. Because they have seduced my people, saying peace, peace, when there is no peace. When they saying, he told me, they say peace is peace, and there's no peace. He told me he used Babylon as a sword. As a sword. Nebuchadnezzar. And one builds a wall, and they plaster it up, untempered mortal. Say to those who plastered in the untempered mortal, that they will fall. There will be flooding rain. He been telling us about disasters. And you, O great hailstones, shall fall. A stormy wind shall tear it down. Surely when the wall has fallen, will it not be said to you, where is the mortal with which you plaster it? Therefore, thus says Adonai Yahuwah, I will cause a stormy wind to break forth in my fury, and there shall be a flooding rain in my anger. Told you they're gonna get disasters. No, he getting rid of them. A great hailstone and a fury to consume it. So I will break down the wall you have plastered with untempered mortar and bring it down to the ground, so that its foundation will be uncovered, and it will fall, and you shall be consumed in the midst of it, that you should know that I am Adonai. He gonna tell him disaster's gonna get rid of a lot of people. He said, well, in the streets, y'all. He getting rid of false prophets and false shepherds. They lied, y'all. They backslide. They turn on the other team, leading his children to a number of slaughter, because they all for themselves. They worried about eating. They eating the things of this world. They on their own hearts. They're about their money. This is why the Most High say all are dead against the living. Thus will I accomplish my wrath on the wall and those who have plastered it on temper mortal, and I will say to you, the wall is no more, nor those who plaster it. That is, the prophets of Yasharel who prophesy concerning Jerusalem. And you'll see visions of peace for her. And who sees vision of peace for her when there is no peace, says Adonai Yahuwah. Who's saying that that's peaceful over there? Not just for saying peace for y'all, but he got me right here concerning Jerusalem, talking about over there. Told y'all who all with Trump and them. Talking about that's the true Israel and that he gonna bring peace. Because he told me that he let Trump be us. Y'all be careful watching these people. Likewise, son of man, set your face against the daughter of your people who prophesy out of their own hearts. Prophesy against them and say, he got me prophesying. Remember, he been telling us the 144,000. For we're going to speak things out of our mouth. This judgment on the earth. It says, who prophesy out of their own heart, prophesy against them and say, thus says Adonai Yahuwah, woe to the woman who sew magic charms on their sleeves and make veils for their heads, of people of every height to hunt souls. Hunt the slaves. Told you, hunt slaves, y'all. They don't care. Will you hunt the souls of my people and keep yourselves alive? And will you profane me among my people for handfuls of barley and pieces of bread, unaliving people who should not die, and keeping people alive who should not live? By your lying to my people who listen to lies. Therefore thus says Adonai Yahuwah, behold, I am against your magic charms by which you hunt souls. Look, hunt their souls like birds. He keep on telling us about how the birds destroying his people. Birds. but also hunt them like the fallen angels. They all about that money, y'all. They from things of the world, hunting souls. I will tear them from your arms and let the souls go, and the souls you hunt like birds. I will also tear off your veils and deliver my people out of your hands, and they shall no longer be prey in your hand. Then you shall know that I am Adonai. Because with lies you have made the hearts of the righteous sad. Told y'all stop listening to these people who I have not made sad. They lie. I told you they put bonds and yokes on your neck. The Most High Yahuwah told us about. He also told me about the 3 days of darkness. That's another doctrine. That's another doctrine. Y'all start listening to these doctrines. And you have strengthened the hands of the wicked, so that he does not turn from his wicked ways to save his life. Therefore, you should no longer envision futility, nor practice divination. For I will deliver my people out of your hands, and you should know that I am Adonai. Look, and idolatry will be punished. They idolize themselves. They all for they think they all that in a bag of chips, y'all. They idolize themselves. They start, and then and then a lot of our the children of Yashrael, the pastors, the shepherd, and them, they start looking out for themselves, y'all. They no longer start looking out for the children, for the people. They backslide. They became wicked. They didn't care about leading us to freedom. They worried about themselves. They was only about saving themselves, and that's what they worry about, the money and everything, looking for saving themselves. Freedom for themselves, y'all. And with the 3 days of darkness, the Most High Yahuwah had me was telling me about the 3 days of darkness doctrine. Because I know when I was he was teaching me about the 3 days of darkness, but also he told me a lot of stuff that he was teaching me back then. And also people came in your life and throw you off hearing a word from somebody else, because I know I did. People, we have to walk in the spirit, not the flesh. Because when he told me about the 3 days of darkness, he was trying to teach me about it. But this other woman came in my life. She said she was a pastor. She started telling me about the 3 days of darkness. He started telling me about, had me go shopping and get stuff to cover my windows and all this and all that. But Yahuwah did tell me that I didn't need, don't worry about the darkness, about the demons. Because the whole Ruach HaKodesh, give us light in the midst of the darkness. And then how they had you talking about you got to hurry up and flee to go home. She was telling me all this. The Most High Yahuwah told us he covers with his blood the Passover. About the Passover. In the darkness, no matter what darkness we in, all over Egypt, we have the Passover, the blood that's over us, the Passover in the darkness, because he gave me also in Revelation. He gave me in Revelation about the 3 days of darkness, right? Because he told me that Satan been released out the bottomless pit. We walking in the wilderness, and we in the darkness. Look at this, Revelation. Okay. Now he gave me about the locusts from the bottomless pit, y'all. And this, he told me Satan been released from the bottomless pit. That no matter, he got us sealed on our forehead. And we walking in the darkness. It's how we say 3 days is not his time. It's different, y'all. And you know they made this, how we came into this world. They got this European, they made their own days, their own time and hour. He said Satan, the Antichrist, will create his own time and his own time and season and hour. They created their own time. We got a different calendar time. But look at this. It said the 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star falling from out of heaven on the earth, and it was given the key to the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit. The smoke arose from the bottomless pit, right? The smoke arose out of the pit like the smoke of great furnace, and the sun and the air was darkened. We in the darkness. He gave me this. He said that sun and air were darkened because of the smoke of the pit. We in the darkness. He give us a seal. It's on us. Look at this. This how he said the 3 day of darkness is a lie. We in darkness on this earth of Satan. It says, because of the smoke came upon the earth, and then was given power. Satan was given power as scorpions of the earth, have as the scorpion of the earth have power. They was commanded not to harm the grass of the earth, or any green thing, or any tree, but only those who do not have the seal of Yah on their foreheads. Because he gave me about the inkhorn. And there was not given authority to kill. Look, and they were not given authority to kill, to unalive them, but torture them for 5 months. And this is what he was telling me. And this is why he told me we in a war. We in a spiritual war. It says, and they were not given authority to unalive them, but to torment them for 5 months. The torment was like the torment of scorpions when it strike a man. In those days, men would seek death and would not find it, and desire to die, and death would flee from them. And you know what he gave me this right here? About the seal that they can't touch us with the seal of those who got the seal on their foreheads, because we have the seal of Yah. This is for those who have the mark of Satan. Gonna torment them. And they will seek death, but this also because they dead, zombified. But also they'll be tormented in hell, day and night. This one, we walking through the wilderness. We got sealed. We in the darkness, in the wilderness. In Egypt, we sealed. They cannot touch us. The dead will be tormented. And look, this when they in hell. When they can't, they're on eternal life. They'll look for death and cannot find it because they be in tortured from in eternity. And this one he's talking about the shape of the locust. So he gave me this, and he been telling me about war, Armageddon. We in war now, y'all. When you see Trump and all that, it's spiritual. It's spiritual. Well, sorry, sisters and brothers, I have to go. I'm on a mission. But I'm working on another video that's kind of tied into this, what the Most High have been giving me. But he gave me this video, and I'm handing this one out first, and then I'll be finish the other one, and I'll send it to you guys. It's about the wicked. So y'all be blessed in Yahusha mighty name. And stay focused, y'all. Love y'all.